and welcome summer. Happy summer solstice, and thank you for joining because it is also the International Day of Yoga. So today we're going to take time to reflect, discuss summer solstice, and have some movement and then a moment for meditation. So for this practice, you may want to grab a pen and pencil and notebook paper. You may want to grab a yoga mat or some blankets or things for the meditation blocks. Or you just may want to kind of hang out with yourself and have a chair for the flow today. So if you would like to take a moment to grab some things, go ahead. I'm going to adjust my mat for the practice. I've been updating and moving things around for the space. So it's nice to reconnect as I get these things in place, and it's always a little bit of shaking going on. Don't you just love that? But that's all right. Because what's also going to happen is I've been moving a little bit more, as I've mentioned in the past, to a little bit more studio style of teaching. So even though we're virtual, it's really connecting with yourself and moving to your body. Now, some folks and people out there may still prefer to watch and see what I'm doing, for example, or maybe you follow along with the captions, which is perfectly fine also. I just don't always do all the moves or stay in the moves because I will show adaptions, or I want you to be able to hear my voice, so maybe I don't turn all the different directions as some of the moves request. So just being knowledgeable about that. So we're gonna go ahead and find yourself getting in a cozy seat to start. It could be in Sukhasana with the legs crossed. You could be sitting on the shins for a little stretch in the heels and feet, or as I mentioned, in chair. And if you have that pen and paper, or if you're just gonna take a moment of reflection, something with summer solstice is it's the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. For the southern hemisphere, it is in the winter solstice that it's the longest. And with summer itself, it's moving into that masculine energy, that fire, that drive and action. So when we're in winter, things are asleep, they're dead, especially in the north where we get lots of snow and ice and cold, very cold weather. And then we move into spring. So things start to slowly come back to life. The light starts to come back in through the windows. It's not so gloomy, and it can brighten the mood. It can awaken and rejuvenate the soul, the mind, and it's also a time to go from, so to speak, sleep into preparation and planning for what is going to happen in the summer. Or even late spring, especially as temperatures have been a little bit wonky in some places. Like I know in Texas, they're having a heat wave. In earlier seasons, and we've had different natural occurrences taking place that just kind of reflect it getting a little bit more warmer, a little bit more wonky as time goes on towards summer. So with this thought though of preparing in the spring, you can look at that so many ways. Maybe it's you're looking to prepare for something personal. It could be something work or project related, or it could be working on yourself, self-care, goals one has. If you're doing physical things like you want to have a garden, or if you're looking to do some work on the home, people tend to prefer to work on their homes in more sunny, dry, warmer weather. And the gardening is just such a wonderful example to talk about it because, even in warmer climates, you still work with the seeds, you work with the earth when you're gardening and planting and sowing, the fruits of labor with the season still. So typically in the north, as I'm more familiar with, being a native Ohioan, it's, in the winter it's dead, you're kind of you've closed things out, the garden is shut down, you've covered the plants that you need to, you've enclosed in the greenhouse. But then spring starts to become on the way. So after, January, after February especially, you start grabbing your notes, you start planning out what you want to plant, how is the dirt? You start to think about where you're going to put vegetation or flowers. And then in late spring, you start to put some of these things in the ground, or in certain places early spring, depending on the temperatures. You start putting these things in the ground. I know I saw flowers a little bit earlier this season. And even some of the vegetation that's been at the farmers markets has come a little bit earlier. But then you have different vegetation and fruits and flowers that have a certain time of season themselves that come out. And in the summer, you're doing this mix. You're just kind of keeping the garden going. You're plucking, you're picking, you're eating, you're creating, you're prepping to jar things in the autumn. So you're really in action. That garden has made its way. It's the same for your plans. At this point in summer, people are going on vacation, the kids are done with school, or they're gonna move into preparation action to prepare for the school year ahead, or you finish the projects or kind of get close to them being done towards for the fall. And so when you move from that summer into autumn and winter and things start to slow again, you get the last fruits and vegetation, you see the last flowers bloom. And then as winter comes to close, it's kind of that cycle again of them, the death, things die off, they'll come back next year, and you start to plan and go through those cycles again. So it's all cyclical, it's all these cycles that we run through. And so our plans and goals, if you're staying with those cycles, can run that same, or just by mystery, by nature and universe itself. I have friends who we always say certain months and times, it seems like the same kind of energies and things happen. So it's I feel like that for this past spring. I've been planning and doing some things, but I really had to sit still for things that I'm ready to see blossom. And I know that by summer, by like mid-July, these things will blossom and change will occur. And then there will be more action for the rest of summer, and then it'll kind of simmer as I go into autumn. So that is one way to look at summer solstice, and you can take that moment or time in a paper and pen to journal, looking at what's happened over the past months, or looking if you notice cycles over the past years. Are there certain seasons where you find transition? Are there certain seasons where you find certain things that continue to happen? For another thing for me is that dating life was always in these interesting cycles. Like certain months I was maybe more active to go out and have more dates, and then it would slow. And so it can be in all different parts of your life, and seasons and cycles and things. So if you'd like to take a moment to either just sit and kind of allow the mind to welcome these thoughts, or you take the paper and you write out some reflective moments, and where you find yourself now, and then where do you want to take yourself later? What goals or actions, if any, do you have now, or would you like to see happen before autumn, so that by then those chapters, those things can be in a flow, to then for that mellow, that steady, that slow of winter that will be to come. So you can take a moment to think about that. You could be writing it down now, or maybe after you could, rewatch this and kind of listen and tune and let things kind of bubble during the flow today, and see where that takes you. And then we're going to celebrate summer with the flow and meditation of some moves that are heart openers, and some moves that really focus on twists and bring awareness to our solar plexus and our lower chakras, that really find that that heat in our systems. Our creativity, our motivation, our fire, our drive comes from that solar plexus, comes from that lower chakra just under the heart, that can really get us and push us into action. Especially in the north, we have good weather, so maybe you don't want to watch TV as much. Maybe you want to get out and make moves, go on boats, get in the water, walk in the park, whatever kind of floats you to that fire, floats you into that sun. So we'll go ahead And we're just gonna start by coming up on all fours. We're gonna change it up. We've probably sat enough for the seasons. As I mentioned, I may not do everything, or I may take myself out of alignment so that you can see and hear me with a little bit more clarity. So we're gonna start on all fours just with some tabletop, and we're gonna start with some cows and cats to help us ignite that fire at center, help to warm up our core. So you could go ahead and move through your own breathing patterns of inhales and exhales and start to welcome cows and cats. Cats rounding the back. Cows are that drop in the belly, but still with awareness on it. So you're working the core. Welcome your breath. You might be doing seated cows and cats if you're adapting this practice to chair. Find one more cat. And then you're gonna return to your tabletop, and we're gonna find some crescent moons here, some side to side. This is gonna bring awareness into the obliques. Breathing, moving. Find one more round. And then you're gonna return to center once again. You're gonna take the hands a little bit forward. We're gonna welcome a downward dog. So take your time in getting into that first downward dog. Eventually finding stillness and breathe. We're gonna welcome some deep Ujjayi cleansing breaths to really welcome awareness to that center, the chest, the heat of the belly. Deep inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth for about 2 or 3. We're gonna take our left foot, welcome it to center, find a 3-legged dog with the right leg, take it high, and then pull it through. You're gonna hold it at the chest for a moment, and then you're gonna bring it forward for a low lunge. We're gonna welcome a stretch through the groin, the thighs, the legs. Breathe here. We're gonna drop that leg down in the back. We're gonna keep this leg lifted, and we're just gonna allow our upper body to kind of rest on that lower body and kind of welcome a natural lunge, hands still supporting, to get a deeper stretch through the groin, the thighs, the hips, and then take it to a half split. You have options to keep that foot connected, or you could higher up the toes, rest on the heel. You're gonna welcome a stretch in the back of the leg. Option to forward fold. Then go ahead and welcome a bend in that knee, take the body forward. And then half split once again, adjust as you need. And we're still just warming up, so you don't have to do a full split yet. Go ahead and welcome that low lunge back to center. We're gonna take that back leg up, that knee off the mat. We're gonna rise into a warrior 2. We're gonna welcome an extended warrior overhead. Then option to take that long arm above, take it behind the back if you choose. You can drop down the arm that was connected to thigh and connect the hands for a heart opener. Then welcome that extended warrior once again. Pass back through 2, take it to reverse warrior. And take the arms, circle them around to wrap around the foot, to go back to low lunge. You're gonna take that front leg through, back to 3-legged dog. Take it down to downward dog. Find your downward dog. Welcome some pedaling through the feet. Welcome some tail wags. Then find yourself welcoming the knees Back to the mat, feet go flat, and welcome yourself to a Balasana, child's pose. So find your Balasana, your child's pose, take your breath, take your rest. Quickly heating up the body. Then you're gonna release, you're gonna come back onto all fours, and we're gonna welcome some cows and cats once again. So go ahead, find your cows and cats, take your time, because you had that blood flow towards the crown and the head before that inversion of downward dog. So you wanna be gentle as that blood flow moves back towards the body out of the head. Find one more cat possibly. Back to tabletop. And then find your crescent moons once again. Maybe if you started going to the right first, now you're going to the left to start, and then flowing through from there. Keep awareness and engagement in the core, the abdominal muscles, working the obliques. Remember to breathe. Then welcome yourself back to center. Take the hands forward, find your downward dog and Ujjayi breathing once again. So you're gonna go ahead and find those 3 Ujjayi breaths after you get settled into your downward dog. Do it at your pattern of breath, your pace and time. Then when ready, we're gonna bring that right foot to center, left foot's gonna rise. You're gonna pull it through, hold it at chest for just a moment. Then you're gonna welcome that low lunge. Option to drop that back knee. Welcome the body to kind of naturally kind of lay on the thigh to help open up through the glutes, the quads, the groin. Find a breath and then half split. So this side might feel different than the other side. And then take it forward. Then when ready, one more half split. Like I mentioned, you don't have to go full, but actually if you've already worked out today, you've already had some yoga, your body may feel very open. It may be ready to stretch and lengthen a little bit deeper. I can always tell my body when I've done an intense workout or I've been to the gym versus when I have not. My muscles are a little bit more loose, a little bit more flexible when I haven't been to the gym. But it takes just a little bit more for me to really introduce the stretch, the sauna into my body. When I've been to the gym, the muscles kind of tighten if I didn't stretch after. So it's just kind of being aware of the body. Taking that foot forward, lifting off that back knee, adjusting the feet, and then finding your warrior 2 on the opposite side. Breathe. I'm gonna go ahead and find that extended warrior. Option to take it back and open up to the heart. Option to go back to that extended warrior. Gonna flow into that reverse warrior. And then take it down and around, outlining the foot. Adjust your footing as you make your way down to that low lunge again. Then when ready, take that left foot back for 3-legged to downward dog. So you find your 3-legged dog, then you find your downward dog. Find your 3 Ujjayi cleansing breaths. Then welcome your knees back to mat and find your Balasana once again. So you have choice. You can leave the knees underneath the hips, or you can take a mat width apart. Allow the arms to lengthen, going long. The forehead can connect to mat. When ready, slowly rise. We're gonna go ahead and kick the feet out to one side, then kick them out in front. You can shake or wiggle anything out. We're gonna go ahead and welcome a boat pose to welcome more awareness into those lower chakras, into that solar, working those abdominals, heating up the body. So you have options with your boat pose. You could allow the feet to stay connected to mat, extend the arms and hold here as you incline the back. You have that option to lift up one leg or then the other. You have that option to use the hands as support and raise and lengthen the legs after those half splits and stretch. So take it where your body is requesting. If you're adapting to seat, it might be that you focus on the incline. If you move your tail forward, just being sturdy and safe, how you adapt. So when you're ready, go ahead and find your boat of choice. You can even play with it. I know sometimes I like to bring my hands to center and take a side to side. Helps me get past all the shakies and working the abs. Then you could focus also on growing and lengthening through your practice. Shoulders away, it's gonna bring more awareness into those lower abdominals there, because sometimes if we get lax in our boat, it tends to really work those top abdominals, but we wanna make sure we hit all the points. And then when ready, after you take another breath, gently release, allow the feet to return down to mat, knees are bent, hands can go behind you, windshield wipers left and right or right and left. Remember to breathe. We're gonna go ahead and allow, after your next round, the knees to return to center. And typically we go into Baddha Konasana, but we're gonna welcome ourselves into a butterfly, a little bit deeper stretch. So you're more than welcome to use a wall to support you if you have that nearby, or just work with self-supporting with the body. So you have the options. Like me today, I'm gonna go against the wall so that I can welcome the legs in a little bit closer. So I'm gonna make sure I'm nice and close. I welcome the feet in a little bit closer to my body with my butterfly, because then I have something sturdy to kind of push back on to take it a little bit deeper. And then I can focus really on stretching deep within the groin, the thighs. I could use hands or weights or blocks to put a little extra weight on my lower body if I want to work on really opening up deeper in the hips. Please be cautious if you're using weights. I know I've seen other folks do this too in fitness, but just be cautious. We want to stretch, not strain, and the body is different every day. So as I mentioned, for me, my body opens a little bit easier when I haven't been to the gym versus when I do. So today, I'm using my hands instead. So we're all different. Bodies are different, constantly changing. So just being aware of what you're doing, how your body's feeling. The only person we're ever in competition with is ourselves. And we should take time to show and offer ourselves gratitude, self-love, and care. And with that, it's really just if you still are keeping consistent practice or keeping consistency with your practice, your body's gonna open, your body's gonna allow it. I know for me, like my body was way more open when, we had that time like during the shutdown. So just reworking, just a few minutes a day. If you notice you have very tight hips or thighs or groin or glutes, focus on stretches that work those areas, those tight areas, when you are able to, just a few minutes a day. It doesn't take much because the muscles will max out and stretch even. And so for me, I don't really worry about my upper body because it's always a bit more loose. So I'm one of those people, I take extra time on the lower body. So just breathe, release. You could envision your breath moving into that lower body. So releasing, exhaling any tightness or tension. And then when ready, use the hands to support the lower body. Be slow and steady to release out of your butterfly. Knees come into chest. And then I'm going to stay seated, but I'm going to direct you onto your back and spine, just so that you can still hear me. So I may show some of the moves. So if you prefer to stay seated, you are welcome to release and then find yourself in a comfortable sitting position. Otherwise, you're going to allow yourself to lay back on your mat, You're gonna allow your knees to come into the chest as so. I'll give a quick example here. And then you have that option to rock side to side or to take the knees around in a circle in one way or the other for a gentle spinal massage. Otherwise, if you're in seated, it may just be that you do a little side to side movement here or a little center circle in one direction and the other to balance out that body and release any tightness and tension that way. Then once you have kind of done your side to sides, you've made your circles, you're going to allow the feet to connect back down to the earth. If there's any other asana or pose that your body is being requested, if you feel a little off kilter still, you have that option to take a spinal side twist in seated or a supine spinal twist where your knees are going to fall out to one side. Take a breath and then be slow and steady to move them to the other side. Take a breath. Take that if you need, no rush, no hurry. And then once you have completed your pose or asana, we're going to allow a moment for meditation and or peace by allowing the body to grow soft in seat, allowing the shoulders to relax with every breath, allowing the jaw, the hips, the shoulders, the neck, the crown to loosen and soften, the belly possibly softening now, or after you complete your side to side balance and stretch to welcome your body back to equilibrium. And eventually just allowing yourself to welcome stillness in the physical body. Bring awareness back to breath. And maybe a gentle smile with closed eyes if you're feeling safe in your environment and space, to relax the eyelids. Take your time getting there. No rush, no worry. You'll make your way to your moment of peace eventually after the stretches and asanas that call you, and your body is asking for relief and release. So with every breath, allow your body to continue to soften into the seat, mat, or earth beneath you. Relaxing the shoulders, the hips, the legs, the hands, the waist. Maybe the eyes are closed or hazy. With every breath, letting go of maybe what you reflected on at the beginning of the class. Maybe those goals and tasks and to-dos fade away, if only for this moment. And you just breathe. Allowing the sunshine, if you have windows, to come in through the windows wherever you are. Even if you're in a place that is cloudy or rainy right now, or is nighttime, just knowing and understanding that behind the night sky, behind the clouds, is the sunshine, and it will be back again. And envisioning in your mind the warmth of the sun welcoming you to the summer solstice, especially in the northern hemisphere. Offering gratitude and thanks for the sun and all the nutrients it delivers to our bodies, to the plants, to the animals, all the beautiful things it welcomes, all the life it brings. And if you're someone where you're not so sure where life is taking you, even though it's gotten you and brought you here to this moment, just know that offering the warmth of sunlight from earth to you, it is there to support you. It wraps you in its sun rays and heat. It is there to help support you in these times as you find your way, as you plant your gardens, as you welcome your goals to reality. And even in uncertainty, as of right now, the sun is certain to rise again. Go ahead and start to find some deeper cleansing breaths. You'll slowly start to welcome gentle movements into the physical body. If the eyes are closed, you're welcome to keep them closed, or you can slowly start to awaken them and allow them to welcome you back to your space as they are slow to open. And depending on where you chose to allow your body to rest, whether it was on the back, sitting up in Sukhasana, or in a chair, just continue to awaken the body. And if you did choose to lay on your back, be soft and slow to maybe curl and move onto one side, rolling over, and then eventually coming up to a seated position. No rush, no hurry. As you continue to make your way to seated, or maybe you are there, once you find yourself in your seated space, go ahead and welcome the palms to be connected, thumb to chest. Maybe you close the eyes one more time, and we'll take all together a large deep inhale through the nose. And when ready, exhale through the mouth, possibly with a sigh. And then allowing the body to go back to natural breathing. And as you welcome yourself back to your space and offer this moment to recognize the gift of being alive in summer solstice and showing yourself this time for self-love and care and joy and warmth of the sun rays. May this ease you into the rest of your day with light, peace, smiles, and love. Namaste. So thank you for joining me for this summer solstice practice. If you have any questions about anything, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you are interested in other classes, there are tons of videos for adaptive yoga in chair, adaptive yoga in bed. There's also other standing practices, vinyasa, or we're getting ready for summer season. I am an aqua yoga instructor, so I do have some videos that are more of workshops and discussions, but they are helpful in giving examples and showing you how to take your practice from land to water. So I'll put a link in the comments below and below in the description for you to find if you're curious about that. I'll also, if you follow, like, and click, I'll add links in the community chat. So the link is there for you to grab from either of those choices or ways and reasons and finds. But it can be really fun taking your yoga practice to the water. Typically we do it, the practices that I've taught in shallow water, but there are deep water yoga practices, usually using floaties and different support systems. But it can be a way to take some of the pressure off the body, because you have the resistance and the support of the water, and you can still strength train with it. You can add water weights or using different tubes and things and waterproof straps to help still stretch deep, or you can use the side of the pool to help you in that practice. So I look forward to sharing that with you. Reach out if you have questions for that. Also, be slow and steady to rise. Take any other stretches that your body is requesting, and take care, and I'll see you soon. So thank you so much.